Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is Monday, September 15th, 2025. We're trying this again. I'm trying it from the top because I think that probably the first recording's pooched. So I did 10 minutes and I did, I don't know, the first 10 minutes of the show, and it just didn't work because the audio wasn't correct, but the audio is correct now. I think
so today
it's working right. And I think that my voice is all matched up. I'm live streaming and there's still nobody watching on YouTube and there's nobody watching on Twitch, and there's one person on Rumble, I guess. But usually there's more people watching than this, so I feel like something hinky is going on. Anyway, I digress. We'll do the show as normal. I'm going to record it as normal. So, Office for Digital Identities and Attributes is happening. The first 10 minutes are going to be quick because I already did these, and I don't know if I'll be as witty the second time. Office for Digital Identities and Attributes is open in the United Kingdom, and I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. NATO is at war with Russia, they say, and I don't see how you could see it any differently, as there's lots of assets, there's lots of training, there's everything from the West flowing into Ukraine on behalf of NATO. Yes, I think this is a NATO war, and we should not be stupid about what we're doing because we're being stupid about what we're doing. Bonnie Crombie quits as Ontario Liberal leader a day after doing the AGM, the Liberal AGM, and saying, yeah, we're really excited about what's coming up. So I'll show you that because that's funny. Substantial budget increase, says Mark Carney. And okay, good. We've got some YouTube viewers now too, so maybe it's not hinky. Substantial budget increase, says Mark Carney, and he wants to spend $13 billion on 4,000 homes. And that is a lot of money. That's millions of dollars per home. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it first. Oh, I'm already there. Mark Carney is talking about announcing, or not Mark Carney yet. Josh is highlighting the CTV News thing. Carney government launches Build Canada Homes with $13 billion initial investment. And he says it's not an investment. Journalists used to know this, and Vitamin D says it's an investment like the EVs, and the EVs were just throwing billions of dollars at a failed attempt at forcing us to have electric cars, which wouldn't work anyway, and we all know it. 401 Des Sparnich does the math, and he says PM Mark Carney launches Build Canada Homes with an initial $13 billion to build 4,000 housing units on federal land. $13 billion divided by 4,000 homes is $3.25 million per home. And that is just absolutely unacceptable. Here's Mark Carney, and this time we can actually hear the videos, so it'll make sense. Speaking with reporters on the eve of the return of Parliament, Mark Carney announces the launch of Build Canada Homes, a new federal agency focused on building more affordable housing. Here we go.
And so today, Minister of Housing and I are proud to launch Build Canada Homes, a new federal entity that will supercharge housing construction across Canada. Build Canada Homes will do several things. It will help fight homelessness by building transitional and supportive housing in close partnership with provinces, territories, municipalities, and Indigenous communities. Secondly, it will expand deeply affordable and community housing for low-income households. Third, it's important. These are all important. Third, Build Canada Homes will partner with private sector developers to build affordable homes for the Canadian middle class. And finally, Build Canada Homes, in doing all of that, will catalyze the creation of an entirely new Canadian housing industry that uses modern methods of construction to boost productivity.
They're just going to use modular homes. They're just going to do what the Soviets did. And what did the Soviets do? And I did read through this once already, but I'll read through it again just because I think it's important because of how similar the plan is. But I'll shorten it up to just this part. The housing crisis in the Soviet Union in 1913 was profound. The average living space per person in Russian cities was only 4.5 to 6.3 square meters, with many workers living in overcrowded dormitories, barracks, or basements. The situation persisted into the Soviet period, with most families living in communal apartments until the late 1950s. The government's official goal of providing a private apartment for every family was not met until the mass construction era began under Khrushchev. The program's success was measured by its scale and speed. The state launched a mass housing construction program in the late 1950s, leading to the development of standardized low-cost apartment blocks known as kucherevi. These buildings typically were 5 stories high, constructed using prefab concrete panels and blocks, a method that allowed for unprecedented construction volumes. This industrialized approach, based on standard designs, drastically reduced costs by 30% or more compared to the Stalinist era, and enabled the construction of 13 million apartments between 1956 and 1965 alone. The program significantly increased the average living space per person, and allowed millions to move out of communal apartments and barracks into their own, albeit small, private unit. So the government is going to put together these prefab homes in Canada following the Soviet model, and you get Socialist Canada, right? Socialist housing Canada. And my gosh, it's those who refuse to learn history or read about history are forced to repeat history. And here we are being forced to repeat history because who's in charge of education? Well, the government, right? Darn. Roman Babber says, why do we need a new federal agency to build homes? Why can't the Ministry of Housing do whatever this new layer of bureaucracy is going to do? Mark Carney is a typical wasteful liberal. The only result is jobs for liberal insiders and finger pointing. Yeah. Yep. They're going to create this bureaucracy, and we're not going to have oversight of it. They're going to build us crap homes, small apartments in apartment blocks that are 5 stories high, and, just like Soviet Russia. And we're not supposed to complain about that? We're supposed to be happy about that? No. Mario is responding to this CBC headline. Carney announces launch of new housing agency, earmarks funding for new projects. The irony, Carney cuts federal jobs to save money, then turns around and launches a brand new housing agency with $13 billion of your money. There goes all the savings. It's inflation, the worst kind of tax. And it's socialism. Your tax dollars handed out for the rest of Canada. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. And it's very frustrating. And this is, I think that I said this, but 13 billion by 14 divided by 4,000 homes is $3.25 million per home. And that's, do they think that we're dumb? I think they do think that we're dumb. Here is Satire Squad, and they've done this meme. Mark Carney loves China. Mark Carney has praised its state capitalism. He wants to change Canada to the same model, the one where the state controls everything. I dug up some gems to back this up, and you can find them in the comments section. So here's the video, and it's working fine. So here we go.
Therefore, propaganda is vastly more important in democratic societies.
In recognizing a communist, physical appearance counts for nothing. If he openly declares himself to be a communist, we take his word for it. If a person consistently reads and advocates the views expressed in a communist publication, he may be a communist. If a person supports organizations which reflect communist teachings, or organizations labeled communist by the Department of Justice, she may be a communist. If a person defends the activities of communist nations while consistently attacking the domestic and foreign policy of the United States, she may be a communist. If a person does all these things over a period of time, he must be a communist. But there are other communists who don't show their real faces, who work more silently.
So, if you were not watching, they were showing pictures of images of Carney on the "You must be a communist," and then on the silently it was Mel Joly and all the other associated ministers who are all under Justin Trudeau as well. So are these people selling Canada out to the CCP? And we still don't know all the details about how infiltrated our government and elections are by the CCP. That was a question going into the 25 election, and now still hasn't been answered, and that's concerning, right? Gov.exe says, first, Trump caused the greatest crisis since World War II. Then he was the reason for Canada's weak economy, high prices, and rising unemployment. Now Trump is why deficits are so large. It's all Trump's fault, according to the Liberals. Do Canadians actually believe this crap? No, I don't. Here's Mark Carney blaming Trump again. And again, I'm trying to show you these people are only going to try and distract us. They are not going to try and solve the problems that are apparent to anybody who has a teenager who's trying to get a job, who goes to Walmart or any other store shopping, who themselves are looking for a job, right? Everybody knows what's going on. And it seems nobody is able to pin these people down and tell them to stop, right? And they're using all sorts of flowery language, and they're pretending to hear what we say, and they're pretending to respond to it. But in responding to it, they do things that will exacerbate the problem instead of fix the problem. And that is by design. Here's Mark Carney.
Just on the upcoming budget, your House leader said this morning that the deficit will be, quote, substantial. How big are we talking, and what does that mean for future cuts?
Substantial means it'll be bigger than it was last year.
Substantial, right? That's what substantial means. Although, there's more implied in substantial than it'll be bigger than last year's budget, right? And it's a weird word to use, because if it's bigger by, say, 10% or something like that, 10% is not substantial. You wouldn't say, oh, that's a substantial increase, right? What's your earnings this year over last year? Oh, 10% increase. Oh, that's substantial. I mean, it might be substantial depending on your industry, but like probably not, right? Maybe 10% is a lot. How much was your union raise? 10%. That's substantial, right? So what's the increase in the budget, right? So substantial implies a pretty big increase when he's just saying, oh, it's big, right? So I don't know, a big increase, not just an increase, a big increase.
Substantial means that it'll be bigger than it was last year. I mean, the actual level will come out with the budget. But let's look at what's driving that. First and foremost, it's the tariff war, the shock that's created by that, the rupture. So you have the impact of that. Secondly, you have the response of Canada to that, which is very clear. We want to protect our industries and workers in the most affected sectors, and we want to build. So we're going aggressively on building the future, taking control of our destiny. Make no apologies for that. That ensures that we don't have this situation again in the future. We are laser focused on making life more affordable for Canadians. First thing we did, cut the consumer carbon tax. First thing we did when we came back after the general election, cut middle class tax cut, GST cut for first time home buyers. Build Canada Homes is all about affordability while driving a new industry. So yes, there's going to be implications for the deficit, but it'll build a much stronger Canada going forward.
Substantial implications for the deficit, but we're investing, so it's okay. Don't worry. I've got this oceanfront property in Arizona. You'll love it. You'll love it. Jing Hai says, Mark Carney admits that this year's budget deficit will be substantial and much bigger than last year's. He doesn't say much bigger. He just says bigger. At this rate, Mark Carney is making Justin Trudeau look like a fiscal conservative. Yeah, because he's redefined what spending is to investment. Pierre Poilievre is responding to Carney's first 6 months in office, and he says he hasn't done anything. He's promised lots, but he hasn't done anything. We won't listen to this whole thing. It's 7 minutes, but we'll listen to about a minute of him rhyming off the first couple of promises broken. This doesn't mean I think that Poilievre is the right guy to fix this. I think Poilievre is uniparty. It's all kabuki theater. They're putting up, it's like they know they're putting on a show. It's wrestling, right? They know. They're like, oh, good armbar there, Hulk Hogan, right? Good jumping off the top buckle there, Macho Man, right? They understand the show. And if somebody gets a bloody nose, they're like, oh, real sorry about that. I didn't mean to hit you like that, right? Like, oh, the razor blade cut you and you really bled that time. Oh my gosh, right? But it's all a show. It's a show for our benefit. Here we go.
First, he promised the fastest growing economy in the G7. He's delivered the fastest shrinking economy in the G7, with the second highest unemployment, the worst household debt, and the worst housing prices. That's not what Canadians voted for. He said that he should be judged by the prices at the grocery stores. Anybody who's been to the grocery store would judge him very badly. In fact, not only have food prices not come down, they are rising faster today than when he took office 6 months ago. He promised to build, baby, build. And ever since, it has been block, baby, block. Let's start with home building. He said he would double home building. And only a few months ago, his own housing agency says home building will fall by 13%. It's already fallen by half in Toronto and the greater GTA, where the homes are most in need of building. Today, he's going to roll out a brand new bureaucracy. You know, the funny thing is we all agree that Canada has everything you need for affordable homes. In fact, housing should be dirt cheap because we have the most dirt to build on. We have the builders, we have the trades, we have the companies, they have the money. They'd love to get building. What's standing in the way is bureaucracy. And so Mark Carney's solution is to add another bureaucracy that will only slow things down. It took him 6 months to set up a new office, an office that has not built a single new home.
It's like having teachers run your government. Like, oh, we got to have a meeting about the meeting coming up. We're going to have a meeting on Friday. We'll have a meeting Monday and Tuesday to set up for the meeting on Friday. What happens at the meeting on Friday? Nothing. We're setting up for the meeting next Monday. Oh, what happens at the meeting next Monday? Setting up another meeting. Okay. So when does anything get done? It doesn't. It never gets done. Never, ever gets done. The CBC Watcher is responding to a Western Standard headline. Morgan says, Carney's eco-zealotry is crushing Canada's economy. I think that's true. Here's a quote. The trend is the same across the board. The Carney government claims to be concerned with the economy, but then won't make changes because they clash with the environmental goals of the regime. This will not change because ideologues are governing us. Mark Carney has proven himself effective in saying the right words to get elected. Our elections are rigged. People who don't acknowledge this are not doing anybody any favors. Our elections are rigged. We're not voting this in. They're rigged. They're rigged. Anyway, but weak on action once in office. He's been painted as a pragmatist, but he's anything but. They're rigged by the media who will lie to us with impunity to our face and smile while they do it, taking our tax dollars as payment. Okay? They'll lie to us, and they'll gleefully lie to us. He's blinded by an obsession to fight climate change through legislation, no matter how much it makes citizens suffer. Yes, and we are suffering. Mark Nixon says, Energy Minister, the Liberal vision for Canada, shipping container homes, crickets for dinner, EVs you can't afford. If your livelihood dies in the process, too bad, you can eat dirt. It's net zero or nothing. The chaos has only begun. So here's Rosemary Barton encouraging net zero. Here we go.
The Prime Minister keeps talking about climate competitiveness, sort of things that I don't think I fully understand at this stage, because there's strategies that will come later. Does this mean that Ottawa is taking a different approach to fighting climate change, that we're trying to find the best path forward as opposed to hitting necessary targets?
So the Prime Minister and Minister de Bruzen are leading this discussion. Their goal is clear. It's the same goal that Alberta has. It's the same goal industry has, which is to get to net zero. We are working on how we do that. We care about the result. The result is to get to net zero. Everybody shares that long-term goal. Yep. This is a win. I really think Canadians should be really excited that we have a win, that everyone believes this is the right thing, and we're working hard to do that.
Just because they tell you we have a win doesn't mean it's a win. Really, right? It's very, very strange. Here is Danielle Smith saying, we just need more time. We need more time. 10 more years and we'll definitely build a pipeline, probably, maybe, sometime. We just trust us. Give us more time. I don't see how anybody can. Why does Danielle Smith see this as an opportunity when everybody else is seeing Mark Carney as just stalling and using bullshit to stall?
My meeting with the Prime Minister was about as encouraging as any meeting I've had with the federal government in a long time. I think he really understands the issues that we put on the table, and we're working through how to address them. I've talked about the grand bargain, and it really has three elements to it. I want to see, of course, a pipeline to the BC coast, the Pathways project, and also some of the bad laws that are impacting the investment climate. And so it's taking us a little bit of time to work through that, but we're making great progress. And I would just ask people to be patient. I mean, we went from having chased away, $500 billion worth of investment over the last 10 years. You can't turn that around immediately. My meeting...
Yes, you can. Yeah, have you looked at the United States? Like, how many billions did they bring in last month? So you can't just turn on a dime like that. Danielle Smith, start looking around there. Somebody in the chat is saying she is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Fabian, is she a Fabian member? Maybe. Fabian Society uses a wolf in sheep's clothing on their sigil. Keith is responding to Corey Morgan. Corey says, when people imply that Canada would impose some sort of trade embargo against Alberta if the province became independent, do they realize that only demonstrates why we should leave? It sounds like an abusive partner making threats. And Keith says, Canada already has a trade embargo on Alberta. It's called Bill C-69, the taker ban, net zero electricity, production cap, and more. They have systemically destroyed Alberta. Destroyed it. For nothing. Gotten nothing for that, right? And so how do you fix that when you're locked into the ideology that destroyed it in the first place, right? And keeping that ideology in place actually solidifies your power in the East. So are they going to change it? No, they're not going to change it, but they've destroyed the province. And if Alberta is able to unshackle itself from Canada and able to produce oil and gas, Danielle Smith's, you can't turn it around and, like this. I think 6 months is plenty of time, because All you need is one customer, and then two, and then three, and then four, and then five, and so on and so forth. And by the time you're at customer 6, 7, 8, you're ramping up, and it's a beast of its own, right? You're trying to figure out new problems for your fledgling business, and things are flying, right? And again, it might take a little bit of time to get your first and second customer and third customer, but once you've got 1, 2, 3, if you're producing good product, 4, 5, 6 come knocking on the door, right? And then things are off the hook. And it's just one of those things. Marty up north says Parliament resumes today. Parliament is on track to have the fewest sitting days in nearly a century this year, with limited legislative achievements in Mr. Carney's first months in office. The House is on pace to sit for just 73 days this year, the fewest since 1937. What happened in 1937? Something big? Probably not, right? Nothing going on there. Nothing analogous to 2025, certainly, right? We have the Liberal accomplished. What have the Liberals accomplished in 2025? Maintaining power is what they've accomplished in 2025. They came in, they took power, they didn't do anything because what was happening they were happy with. So they didn't change anything. They didn't want to change anything. They said they were the party of change, but they came in and changed nothing. They allowed it to continue on purpose, by design, all running to plan. And now they want to censor anybody who notices. And that's what they're going to do ASAP. They are going to censor everybody and continue to consolidate their power. They're not going to fix anything. They don't want to fix anything. Accomplished, that implies they work for us. They work for, I think, communist China, but certainly some communist somewhere. CTV News says Bank of Canada is expected to cut interest rates after last minute inflation report. So inflation's going to go up. Yay, things are going to get more expensive, but the interest rates are going to come down. Weird. Isn't that strange, right? Tamara Litch is responding to Global News. Global News says, here's this Ipsos poll. Do you believe it? I don't, obviously. With MPs returning to Parliament, Carney's government has a decades-high approval. Sure. Everybody loves this nonsense. No, I don't believe it. Not for a second. Okay, I have to say goodbye to the stream. Unfortunately, we have so many other interesting stories. We've got a Charlie Kirk, where did the shot come from breakdown, and I've got two different shooters on the right, the guy in the green and the guy in the white here. This guy in the white here. And I don't know, after watching multiple times, I don't know if either of them are. And some people say, no, it came from the front, but other people are saying the way his body moves, it goes the other way. And so I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. Oh, we're going to wait there. I have no idea with regards to that, but we've got a huge breakdown on Charlie Kirk and the shooter and the inconsistencies in the official story. We've got Bonnie Crombie leaving. We've got some crime stories. We've got 2030 agenda, lots more. So if you want to check out the whole show, head over to CanadaPoly.com. But if not, that's okay. We'll catch you tomorrow. And for everybody else, we will continue on doing this as soon as I kill the stream. And okay, the stream is good.